Well, I was playing around on a skateboard with my grandkids and it hit me just right.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, hell yeah.
Yep.
When she got on this board and started twisting, I was like, you are going to sell millions of these balance boards.
Yes.
I am in.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Another Bite, where we rewatch the most innovative and intriguing pitches from Shark Tank. I'm Ariel, and I'm joined today by Leslie Green.
Hey everyone.
And Jon Dick.
Hi.
And today we're going back to 2014, 2015. So bust out your LMFAO glasses. We have today in this episode one product that hopes to strike a balance with the shark's investment, another that offers a spin on at-home workout equipment, and a berry tasty mix that you may recognize from the breakfast aisle.
But before we get into all that, we got bills to pay. So, as they say, a word from our sponsor.
You know it, we know it. Next year is creeping up quick. If you want to win inside your niche in 2024, you need tech that puts you in the pilot seat. The new HubSpot Sales Hub will help you close out the year strong and kickstart your success in 2024. Teams can collaborate on every inch of the customer journey and keep operations running smoothly with comprehensive prospecting workspace and powerful sales analytics tools that keep data connected across teams. And with over 1,400 integrations, there's a ton of ways to mix in new features. So finish out Q4 strong and gear up for the new year with HubSpot Sales Hub. Learn more at hubspot.com/sales.
So you know what they say. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. So let's start off with our first entry into the tank, Kodiak Cakes. Kodiak Cakes is founded by Cameron Smith and Joel Clark. They're asking the Sharks for $500,000 for 10% equity, which comes out to a $5 million valuation. Kodiak Cakes is a pancake and waffle mix made with 100% whole grains, packed with protein, just add water. Curious to know, have you guys ever tried Kodiak Cakes? And if not, what is your go-to for adding in for the perfect pancakes? I have to know.
I have tried Kodiak Cakes. I'm a big fan. I think chocolate chips are always my go-to addition into any pancake or waffle mix.
Solid choice.
Yeah, I also have had Kodiak Cakes, although I did not repurchase after I first used Kodiak Cakes. I make my own mix at home. I do my own thing.
Ooh, fancy.
I put blueberries in. I put quinoa in.
Really?
Oh, yeah, put some blueberries in there.
Wow.
The quinoa is throwing me off.
Yeah.
That's like superfood breakfast at this point.
Yeah. The Johnny-ack cake is a lot more extreme than the Kodiak cake.
I buy Kodiak Cakes every now and then, just kind of if I want a treat and want to maybe feel slightly better about my pancake or waffle mix. But I usually do go back to the generic or just like mix my own protein into it. People were already doing that. And I think that was part of the problem that they were hoping to solve, is creating a breakfast that felt like it had a little bit more oomph to it, would fill you up longer in the day. Because I don't know about y'all, like with regular pancakes, I'll eat a couple of them. I'll feel really full. And then I feel this spike in sugar and then feel really hungry again in like 2 hours. So I get what they're trying to do with making a more filling, protein forward breakfast.
So when they first came to the Sharks, they were projected to do 1 million and they got into Target, which is huge opportunity for them from a distribution perspective. They mentioned as well that they had pretty solid year over year kind of sales and growth, and they were projected to come out to 5 million in sales, with last year being 2.5 million. So what do we think in terms of the opportunity here? Because I feel like we've seen a lot of food companies or a lot of food products that come into the tank. It's a really challenging space to get into, a lot of risk associated from the shark investment perspective. So curious to kind of get your guys' opinion on that initial success. And is that enough for them to stand out within this space?
So essentially, there's kind of like two ways in business to have a strategic advantage. You can be lower cost, or you can be differentiated. It's like a really simple way to think about it. This, for Kodiak Cakes, is a differentiation play, right? And their differentiation, I think, is actually like this magical trifecta of slightly healthier, of like manly, protein rich, muscle building.
Ladies need protein too, and muscle building.
Ladies need protein.
True.
Well, I'll get to this, Leslie. It's not that I don't think ladies need it. The third trifecta is they're like an all-American brand, Kodiak Cakes. They seem tough. So like this is an incredible situation here. I think that if you did research, I think you would find that the number one buyer of pancake mix is mom. General Mills frequently talks about the target market being like moms because moms actually control the majority of household spending on groceries. And I think that the buyer of groceries, and in particular, moms in a lot of households, face a challenge. They want to introduce healthy things, but they don't want to be booed out of the dining room, right? They don't want to have to harass their family to eat the healthy thing. And so this is just this incredible combination. It is healthier, but it is, a brand that doesn't sound healthier. And it also has this extra muscle building element that I think a lot of people would say, oh, that's what I need.
I think a key learning here is building a brand, not just selling a product. They really did build their product around a fitness, wellness driven lifestyle.
Yeah.
The time that this was coming out around 2014, like the health industry was really starting to pick up, gain popularity. Self-care, fitness, nutrition were all becoming really big topics. And I think this also helped solve the problem for people who weren't having this kind of nuclear family pancake situation. It's like, oh God, I have to make myself a healthy breakfast. I care about what I'm putting in my body. And I think it was just this kind of perfect melding of they built a brand that spoke to those people and really were able to say like, we're more than just pancakes. So I love how they're a great example of building a brand, not just a product.
Yeah. And just even down to like the packaging, how it stands out on the shelf. Usually you see the big fluffy pancakes, bright, warm colors, whereas it just really captures your eye and stands out like on the shelf overall. I'm not completely sold that it's the brand that carries the weight here. I actually think it is a lot of the relationships that they've built. One of the things that the founders had mentioned when they were talking to the Sharks is that they got in with Target at an EDLP, which is an everyday low price. And an everyday low pricing model, for those who don't have a CPG background, it's typically like what Walmarts do. So they offer lower price points. Prices are set, initially on items and maintained, as opposed to a high-low strategy, which is more so what Target does, which is essentially, hey, we have trade dollars, we'll do promotions, but it'll be at this more average or premium price point. So that was interesting that they had that relationship with Target to already get on the shelves. The fact that they paid slotting fees, which is like not an ideal circumstance for a lot of CPG companies, but the fact that they took that as an opportunity to get that distribution and have consistent returns and margins, I think that's such an important piece in addition to the brand that really at least sold it for me.
Yeah, they went all in on distribution. They believed in their product and they were like, we just have to get distribution. So whatever it's going to take to get Target to put us nationwide in every store, like we think the product will sell itself and is differentiated enough that it will actually sell itself. We don't talk frequently about actually paying retailers for the distribution you get, but we talk all the time about paying Google and Facebook lots and lots of money to run ads to get distribution on our products. Although it's not ideal to pay a slotting fee or whatever, I'm not sure it's awful if you're a new product that just needs to get early distribution. And I think if the product is interesting enough and differentiated enough, and you have enough confidence that people are going to rebuy it after they buy it the first time, then I think it could be a good strategy.
Yeah. I think also one other thing to note, they did have a really strong social influencer community play. When you're kind of getting that repeat see, so you're go to Target all the time and you're starting to see Kodiak Cakes, and then you're getting on social and you're seeing people who have the same values as you talking about this brand. You get the same target audience seeing it in two different places where they're consuming content. And I think that all of that together was a smart way to go about it. We talked about the brand, the placement, and then also to the community aspect of it that they built.
Yeah, I also heard about it through word of mouth, which is absolutely shocking. Like, this is a pancake mix. So it is remarkable the level of advocacy they were able to achieve. And I think, Leslie, it's to your point. I think it is about the shared values. Somehow they turned a pancake mix into a lifestyle product, which is like completely mind blowing. And you saw this play out with the Sharks. Like, Mr. Wonderful could not wrap his head around it. He was like, you're not worth nearly what you think you're worth because you're just a commodity. And they were like, no, we're not just a commodity. We've taken a commodity, we've turned it into a lifestyle brand. And because of that, it's going to actually take off.
Yeah, and I think that's such a fair point. I think the Sharks are very quick to dismiss, hey, category space is really competitive. You guys are really bullish. Robert got to the point of like, hey, the average mom won't pay twice as much for a premium product. And I felt like they were so focused on that one audience instead of the actual opportunity and avenue this opened up. I'm an individual who wants to have more protein in my day. Like never would have thought for that to be like the actual use case and audience. So this was one of those pitches I felt a little disappointed that the Sharks didn't see kind of beyond what that initial gut reaction is. But I don't know if you guys felt a similar way as we were watching the pitch.
I was asking myself in the pitch, like, is there another pancake brand that comes to mind? And I think it was an industry that was kind of ripe for something else to stand out in. And they took advantage of the fact that people were kind of already making their own DIY solutions, and they presented something that was like way easier in a box. And I just think that that had to be talked about too.
Yeah, it's challenging because markets, especially commodity market, like they tend to trend towards duopolies. Two companies to take the majority of the share, and then they kind of coexist in a way that like neither of them wants to really go to war with the other one because neither wants to lower their profits that much, and they kind of just exist. So you have a duopoly here. You have Aunt Jemima and Bisquick, right? And so I think if you are a Shark and you're looking at this, you're like, there's not actually room for a third party, because if a third party tries to get in, then the other two will just largely use their market power to push them out. And I think what they were missing is that this is actually reaching out to a different consumer, potentially one who's making their own.
A breakfast connoisseur.
Exactly. And they caught on to a trend and they were aspirational. Yeah.
Yes. Let's talk offers. We had a few of the Sharks that were interested in Kodiak Cakes, but they were going pretty aggressive from the equity perspective. They weren't really going to offer the entrepreneurs the 10% that they came in asking for. So first we have Robert coming in offering the $500K for 35%. Then we have Barbara, who throws her hat into the ring. She offers for 20% a $250K, but must get $250K from another Shark, which is interesting because Kevin then joins in on Barbara's offer, and they both come in at 25% each, which is essentially give us 50% of your company. You came in asking for 10, give us 50.
No one's giving away 50%, especially an entrepreneur who believes deeply in the current growth of their product. I don't know where the Sharks were getting their math. Like when I watched the pitch, I was like, okay, so they've just done $2.5 million in revenue, and they are forecasting 2x growth, which, hey, anybody can forecast anything, right? So let's just even use $2.5 million in revenue. Their margin's 45% through wholesale even. So it's probably higher in other channels if they're there. So basically like the valuation they're asking for $5 million is like a 5x EBITDA valuation, which is really not that wild. Like maybe you could say maybe it should be like a 3x or whatever, but I think they're pretty fairly valued at 5 million. Sure, the Sharks should get a little premium, and so maybe bring the value down a bit.
Yeah, I was surprised too. I was wondering if this is one of those businesses where the Sharks, again, see how successful they are. They see the lucrative opportunity, and it's more so, hey, I want to get my stake in this company as opposed to let's grow this company together. But as we know, at the end of the day, no deal was made, and they ended up leaving the tank without any offers. So I think we all know this is still a company. Instead of asking, is this still a company? How would you guys expand the product line? What would be the next item you would push?
I mean, I would probably consider pushing into other breakfast foods like English muffins.
I was thinking oatmeal.
Yeah.
Oatmeals.
Yeah.
I was also thinking the more that they can create education around different ways to use their mix beyond pancake, I think is like a really smart move too to kind of play in. So desserts, but then also showing like, hey, this is pancake mix, but it could also be used to make bread. I don't know if you could actually do that, but like just trying to find more creative, unique ways. And I'm sure they have enough people on social who are already doing this. And that's like the smartest thing companies can do is look to how consumers are already using their product and highlight them, show them, give them the time in the sun so that people can find new ways to use the same product.
Yeah, love that. Back to Kodiak Cakes. Is this still a company? Yes, they're one of the most successful rejected products in Shark Tank history. After the show aired, their orders increased up to 1 million in sales.
Wow.
They've become the #1 protein pancake mix and have launched 8 new products. And during the tank, they projected 20 million in sales in 2018. But when 2018 hit, they skyrocketed past their projections, 54 million in sales. So as it turns out, not getting a deal was the best thing they did for their business and probably the biggest L for the Sharks, not getting any stake in that company when they had the chance to.
Yeah.
So in a similar realm, as we're talking about taking care of ourselves, putting good investments into our body, we have next up PRX, which is pitched to us by Eric Hopperstad and Brian Brosh. They're asking for $80,000 for a 10% stake in the company, which shakes out to $800,000 valuation. And PRX, which I'm not a big fan of the name. I'm just going to come out there and say it doesn't really.
Yeah, I hate the brand name.
Yeah, it doesn't explain what it is.
Yes.
PRX, their whole shtick was redesigned weight training equipment. So when it's not in use, it'll only take up a few inches of your space. So it's meant to be a space saver at home gym. Honestly, think this is one of those products that could have been really successful, especially in 2020 as things were kind of shutting down overall. Curious to know, would you guys purchase a PRX for your home, or would you go to the gym instead?
I would definitely consider getting a space-saving weight rack.
Yes.
Absolutely. I can't guarantee I would buy a PRX.
When we moved into our house, a lot of things weren't open yet. And we really were like, let's build an at-home gym. And we looked at products like this, but a huge part was, can you have the space to also fit a car, store your bikes, all those things. And so the pandemic really showed people that you don't need a gym membership. So much of it is about consistency, and the commute to the gym, the barrier to entry with prices of gyms actually was holding a lot of people back. But I really like this product.
My problem with it is just, I think it's just going to get copied a lot, or versions of it will get copied a lot. And I don't think that they're positioned to be the name that sticks with this concept. I was thinking about what makes a fitness brand transcend and people just have extreme loyalty for it. I think that just space-saving collapsible weight rack is going to be produced by many, many, many different manufacturers.
They had a patent, correct?
It's unclear. They had a patent pending.
Yeah. I don't know the answer to this, but like you said, I could see a company like Rogue copying this and then really kind of losing some of that share, because like we said, this brand as a name, it doesn't stand out as much in my mind. I think they're going to have to work extra, extra hard to build almost like an at-home fitness enthusiast community.
That's exactly what they're going to have to do.
But I think that's the uphill battle they're going to have, is really building that community that is just at-home gym loyalists. And hopefully companies like Rogue aren't making low-cost things like this.
So they retail from $550 to $1,099, and they made $170K in sales this year and have only sold 100 units.
We've been talking mostly about, could this as a brand be differentiated? The total addressable market of people who would ever want a full weight rack at home is just really small. Ariel, you brought up the numbers. You see that in the numbers, they've sold 100 racks.
Yeah.
Right. And they're like, we're going to sell 300 more racks. And you're like, that is just, I think they could be probably a very successful small company, and they could probably sell 1,000 racks a year or something like that. And that would be great business. But I've struggled to imagine this being any sort of mass market fitness product.
It's very reminiscent to what Damon was mentioning when he was looking at the product, pulling out for the investment. He stated himself that he feels like it's kind of a hard grab for consumers, since you really are trying to meet that audience at the intersection between, to your point, that workout enthusiast who's all about fitness and at home exercise, and the person who will just let it sit underneath their bed, let it gather dust in their closet, which is a very difficult market to reach. I actually think, after hearing you both talk about this, would this have been better off played as a B2B kind of play as opposed to direct to consumer? Because the brand awareness isn't there. The community is still building. Would it have been a better move for them to potentially want to partner with gyms or Orange Theory or Planet Fitness and try to go in through that route to build awareness and then go direct to consumer?
I'd like to make the motion to get these into Planet Fitnesses. Planet Fitness has more of my money. I love them for what they are, but they have Smith machines. And I'm like, could we just get a real squat rack in here? It's a really interesting idea, whether it's apartment complexes or anything where you need to save space. I think there is that opportunity there. And it seemed to me like in their pitch, that wasn't even on their radar.
Yeah, it is an interesting question. I think B2B buyers would be more concerned about purchasing a product that collapses because I think they would have fear that the intense amount of usage, the rack just wouldn't be nearly as stable. I would imagine there'd be a lot more like FUD to overcome with a gym owner in purchasing these versus someone at home.
Jon, that's when you do a fun ShamWow style infomercial about how durable it is and how much weight it can hold.
Fun to overcome the FUD. Yeah.
So as we know, Kevin was interested in the deal, which actually surprised me. His offer at $80K for 20% with a payback structured for 20% of sales. Thought was an interesting offer and very rare from Kevin.
It's just a royalty. He didn't call it a royalty. If he'd called it a royalty, we all would have been like, what? And instead everyone was like, oh, 20% of sales. Good lesson in packaging your ideas up.
When the offer has better branding than your product.
I think at 20% royalties, I think that's a lot of money. And basically what Mr. Wonderful's saying here is he's saying, I want a royalty until I get paid back. I'm not like really investing in your company. I'm giving you a loan and you're going to pay it back in a way that's actually going to hurt your ability to grow the company. Because you're basically taking 20% of every dollar that the company brings in. You're just giving it to Mr. Wonderful. So what started as a gross margin of 43%, which is already low for a gross margin, you're taking another huge chunk off. So it takes it down to a 23% gross margin. Like they're not going to have any money to market this.
But they went with it.
I know. I think they thought getting some clout from Mr. Wonderful would help. I think Mr. Wonderful just realized this is what he needed for his lake house.
Right.
Basically realized that he could get a free weight rack by lending some people some money and getting paid back on it.
It's not a bad strategy. So do we still think PRX is still a company?
I feel like yes, because they've gone through the pandemic. And I think a lot of people during COVID said, I have nothing else to do besides work out. And this is my opportunity to help my mental health, be stronger. And so I am bullish that they are still doing well.
I think that they got a ton of orders during the pandemic and could not fulfill any of them because they didn't have enough inventory on hand, would be my guess. I bet it was super stressful for them. I feel bad because I'm sure it was a huge missed opportunity. I bet that they are a niche business that sells a couple hundred racks a year or something like that. And I don't think they've exploded.
Well, both of you are correct. So after the episode aired, their website traffic increased by 20-fold. We love a good SEO bump and traffic bump when we can get it. Due to their increase in sales, they were able to pay back Kevin 18 months later, which surprised me. That's much faster than I anticipated they would, given the low volume of sales that they had to date. But as of June 2022, the company has made $9 million in revenue, and they're still counting and still going strong.
I'll tell you this. One of them in particular was quite fit. Like that dude.
They both were fit.
Those dudes are they were ripped.
What is the advice for them in the future? I think that's something we try to come back to is like, what can they do? And I think if they can like develop a ton of just really beautiful home gem renovations, partner with influencers who are at-home enthusiasts and just get that content that they can really show, as well as guides, training guides for beginners, training guides for immediate, like really just show people and lead them through that. Because I think one audience that we hadn't really talked about is people who maybe were like insecure to like start at a gym. Like going to gyms can be really intimidating. And I think despite this being something that we have kind of talked about like, oh, it's only for like really intense fitness enthusiasts. I think there is a market who really wants to be educated and wants to understand and likes the safety of their own home. So I think that's a market that they could really try to have that really valuable content for and make it really approachable.
Yeah. I mean, my advice to them would be to go all in on the concept of space saving home gym products, which I think is a really, really great idea, but maybe spend a lot more time focused on the small stuff than the big stuff and make it such that it doesn't look like gym equipment.
Interesting.
Like the biggest miss to me actually was that it was like ported over too much from a gym. It looked like a gym rack. And the truth is, if you're going to drill that on your wall at home, like maybe you could make it look more interesting or more beautiful or like, more of an installation.
I saw a cool one. Yeah, there
you?
was one, I think it was an influencer, it was a video on their social, and they got the entire black one, all black plates. The wall was black, and they made it just like a really nice, sleek, blended into the wall. And that's the kind of stuff.
That's what I'm saying. They should be focused on not just the save space, but this actually blends into your home.
The design.
The inspiration for this product was ultimately a Murphy bed. And so like, I don't know, like maybe you should be able to like put a bookshelf over it, you know? Like
On a scale from Bowflex to Bala Bangles, how do we feel about PRX?
That's square in the middle.
All right. Well, we are going to our last product in the tank for today, which is Simply Fit, presented to us by a mother-daughter duo, Gloria Hoffman and Linda Clark. So they're asking for $125K for 15%. I will say I was not sold on this product until Gloria started speaking, and she had this one quote that I was like, yes, I am the audience. And she said, when she turned 60, she was struggling to lose weight in the core area and is vertically challenged and likes to eat. And found out when she was skateboarding with her grandkids to come up with the idea, just living her best grandma life, obviously.
Well, her line, Ariel, was, well, I was playing around on a skateboard with my grandkids and it hit me just right.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, hell yeah.
Yep.
When she got on this board and started twisting, I was like, you are going to sell millions of these balance boards.
Yes.
I am in. I was immediately in.
It was like the TikTok sound, you're going to be popular. That was like the first thing that came to mind the minute she had the demonstration.
God. Yeah, I have such mixed feelings. I have a fundamental value that I believe anything is great that is getting people moving. Getting people moving, standing up, moving their body. That is a core value of mine, and I can't hate on it.
Is that a core value?
Yes, it is a core value, like deep core value that anything that helps people move their body is a net positive. But anyways, God, I was so turned off at the beginning of the pitch. I hate this about the fitness industry. Using fear-based marketing to sell a product and to say language like saddlebags, love handles, muffin tops. It is something that I have straight up walked out of workout classes in because I just think it just completely misses the point of fitness and health and building strength and doing fitness and wellness because you love your body versus you hate your body. And that's a huge mindset shift. And they know their market. They are talking to women over 40 who are thinking this is going to be a quick fix. And so I get what they're doing, but it's just like, man, it made me upset.
Oh, but Leslie, I think we have to remember too, we're marketers, right? So we think about all of these like nuances, what the categories like, what the industry's like for someone that's just trying to explain what their product is and to like try to get a value prop out. I think compared to some of the other products we've looked at in the tank that have been a little more fear-based, this one leans a little more on the milder end.
So I'm with Leslie from the standpoint of this needs a whole new marketing pitch. It is a really interesting product that I think could sell tons of products if Gloria got on it on television and moved herself back and forth like that. But I think they need a copywriter to rewrite the value props.
Yeah.
It can be fun. It makes movement fun. You know, you can stand in front of the TV and just be silly. Also, too, I mean, core is one of the most fundamental things for back pain. I'm pretty sure 99% of people struggle with back pain, and so much of back pain is core strength. And it's that same thing where it's like, if you could get people to understand that it's not about the saddlebags or the love handles, it's about really being able to develop strength in your core and be able to be functional throughout life. But it is a harder sell. And having worked in the fitness industry, people don't immediately make that connection. And it is, especially with women, it is a hill that you have to come over because so many women are taught, don't pick up weights, do these toning exercises. And I'm like, babe, toning means that you're building muscle and losing fat. It's not a special magical thing. Anybody can do it. It is fun. It is going to, strengthen your core is a great way to say it versus just like saddlebags. Like, why do you got to talk crap about your body like that? It just doesn't sit well with me.
Fair. There is definitely an opportunity for a more positive narrative and focusing more on the benefits that the product brings. But I mean, folks seem to be interested in the initial board itself. They sold over 15,000 units and they've grossed $575,000 within the first 18 months of being within business.
They've got 80% gross margins. Yeah. They're going to sell a crap ton of these. I think, Leslie, your point is they could sell more if they actually like really got to the true value and didn't rely on the traditional tropes that people lean on in marketing this kind of stuff. So this product is kind of interesting because it fits into this really weird niche of products where it seems like it's no work. You look kind of stupid doing it. You can put it in a closet, so it's really easy, but it actually does, in theory, improve your fitness. And so to me, they actually should talk about the benefits of it much, much, much more. Otherwise, it'll end up similar to things like the balance ball that we all sat on at our desks for many years when we used to go to the office, or the Thigh Master, the Booty Sprout, or something like that.
I have a balance board and I love it.
You have a balance board?
I do. I can't stay for a very long time. I think my best record is like 6 seconds and then I fall on my face. But
that's like the good point is I feel like fitness always has these very empty, quick fix promises. And I wish people would just be more realistic and understand that when it like comes to really changing your physique, your life, it is like consistency. Consistency can mean 10 minutes a day. It means progression. It means adding little bits of weight here and there so that your body is continuously being challenged, because your body just adapts to the weight that you're using. So when you're using 10-pound dumbbells all the time, like once you hit that threshold, you're not going to keep building strength. You have to add 12, you have to add 15. I really do think like when we talk about those value props, like anybody can do it. It's 20 to 30 minutes a day. You can have fun doing it. Those are all like things I love. But this whole, you're going to hop on this twisty thing and have a 6-pack, we're just lying to people.
Yeah. I think you could lean into the fun of this. I think it looked fun.
So fun.
I want to try it.
Yeah, I would do it watching TV.
I've never seen Robert smile like he smiled when he was on this balance board. Like he had the biggest grin on his face I've ever seen from a shark.
When I worked for the U.S. Olympic Committee, we did this video with Olympians and we brought these old fitness workout equipment. And this fits in that weird, random 80s fitness equipment. And I think it's resurging. We've talked about ankle weights and how Ball of Bengals changed it. They can make this happen.
Yeah. So how are they going to make it happen? This is the kind of interesting question. So let's just say they'll do a little bit of messaging overhaul and they'll get another copywriter that speaks to the fun and the value instead of the tropes about muffin tops and stuff. And then let's just assume it has incredible product market fit. So like, what's the key to actually bringing that to market? Like, how do you actually sell 1 million of them?
TikTok.
just throw Gloria on a TikTok of her doing the demonstration.
In all sorts of funny places.
Easy money.
Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't you just put her on a world tour and take her to like major monuments or
I would sign up
major
for a
landmarks
class.
and just have her twist?
Yes.
I would follow her page
Yeah.
if it was just Gloria going
Totally.
around.
Live stream a 30-minute class with Gloria, you know, in front of the Taj Mahal and just like crush.
It's a board, right? And I think Robert hits on this. There's nothing really proprietary here about the board itself. And it was interesting in terms of the patent. Like there's really nothing stopping another company from replicating the same product in this space. Is it unique enough to stand as its own brand? Or does it really need that like Gloria influence or an influencer?
It depends who they're trying to sell to, whether they should go to TikTok or they should go on a more traditional television media channel, in my personal opinion. But either way, they need to get lots and lots and lots of people to see this video and associate the brand with it. No one buys a generic Thigh Master or whatever, right? Like, no, I don't want the generic. Like, I'll pay the extra for the real deal. And so if they can just establish that their brand is the one that pioneered this, if they are the category leader, lots of other people will buy twisting balance boards that are generic, but I think they actually could carve a big piece of the market and maintain a premium price point.
My game plan for them is go to every YMCA, pitch a signature class, get those boards.
Or curves.
Yeah, like find those
Yes.
places where you teach people how to use the board and then they want to do it themselves. Let's get Gloria in that and have her lead a little studio. And then people will learn to love the fit board and love their bodies.
Yes.
They need to get the Simply Fit board in front of as many people as possible, as quickly as possible.
Yeah. And I think the Sharks, caught on to that too. Even Kevin came in offering more capital in his offer than what they originally asked for. So he came in asking the $250K for 30%, but he was really intent on the inventory. And I think to that piece, like they knew this is a product that could do really well and to expand beyond there. The entrepreneurs did suggest going with Kevin and Lori together. I think that would have been a very interesting move if they did it on their part. But do we agree with Lori's decision to pull out and give kind of her own offer aside from Kevin?
I mean, I don't think Kevin had anything to offer Lori. Lori didn't need any help from Kevin on this. This is like so squarely in Lori's wheelhouse.
Mm-hmm.
This is the target market she has sold so successfully to. She's a master of the distribution channels that historically have worked incredibly well for this. And so why would she give up a piece of her stake to Mr. Wonderful? And so Lori basically offered 20% for $125K which is like a 2.5x EBITDA multiple, which is like totally reasonable. This is a fair deal. And Lori is going to make so much money because they're going to sell so many of these boards.
Yep. So as we know, they decided to go ahead and make the deal with Lori, our QVC queen. So it brings us to our favorite segment. Do we still feel that Simply Fit is still a company? And if so, just for funsies, how much do you think they would have made in lifetime sales?
These boards are in so many people's closets. I'm just going to say that as I think.
Totally. I'm going to guess that they have done, I don't know, $75 million in sales or something like that.
Okay, 75 million. Leslie, what about you?
I feel like they took it to QVC.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going to go 100. Yeah.
The Simply Fit is still a company. After the tank, their product was a massive hit on QVC and other television shopping networks as well. Nowadays, you can find the board at your local Walmart. Although the company website is gone, they still continue to sell across Amazon, and they have raked in over, Leslie, you get the point because you were closest, 160 million in lifetime sales. So that was a twist that we weren't expecting. Very successful. Who do we think won the episode?
Kodiak Cakes.
I was going to say Kodiak Cakes too. They didn't actually need the Sharks' knowledge or expertise to continue to be successful. It seemed like they were doing really well. They had a pretty wide product line. Their brand was locked in and on point. They already had their deal with Target. They didn't need a shark for anything. All they needed was a Shark Tank exposure. And they got that for free. They gave away no equity in their company. And so I think purely as entrepreneurs, they were the winner.
I think to play devil's advocate, I'm going to go with Simply Fit. That $10 cost to make and $45 retail for just a plastic board. Anytime I feel like you can sell something that's like simple materials and like make that much of a margin on it is a shoo-in success. So any last lingering thoughts?
Go move your body today. Do something that makes you feel good.
All right.
Drop your most intense pancake recipes in the comments.
I'd recommend considering a Murphy bed. If you don't have one, they're quite economical.
Murphy beds and quinoa pancakes. Got it. Well, from us over here at Another Bite, thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you, Jon. Thank you, Leslie. And this has been Another Bite. See you guys next time.
Today's episode is written and produced by Matthew Brown. If you like what you hear, even if you don't like what you hear, follow and subscribe to the show. But smashing that subscribe or follow button is really the most helpful thing a beautiful person like yourself can do for the show. Or send us free products. I mean, that's great. Also love a free trinket. Okay, we'll see you in the tank next week for Another Bite.